You're listening to the first official episode of the Favorite Self podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Luz, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the LDM radio today. Whatever application you're listening on, make sure you give this podcast episode a like and share it with a friend you think will enjoy. I'm Alyssa Luz, as I mentioned, and I want to give you guys a couple fun facts so we could get to know each other for this first season of the Favorite Self podcast. Fun fact number 1 is this episode is currently being recorded on July 2nd of 2024. I've officially been 25 years old for the past 24 hours, and I'm loving every second of it. I'm so grateful to have spent time with friends and family, and honestly, I have felt so loved over the past couple of days with everyone reaching out and sending me their well wishes and blessings for this new year of life. And if you're listening to this and you want to share a couple moments of love and gratitude, you could definitely find me on Instagram at Veggie God Mother. You can follow me and check out some of my updates. Fun fact number 2 is I'm a model and a professional host. So besides hosting podcasts, I hosted the LDM show, which is a live talk show, for about 2.5 years. And I currently host in-person events. So the most recent one was a fashion show with the Juneteenth NY organization. And as I mentioned, I model. So if you do check out my Instagram, you'll get to see some of the past shoots I've done. I do typically editorial and, fun fashion. And I just love being behind the camera. Or would it be in front of the camera? I technically like both because I think I have a good eye for taking pictures, but posing and coming up with creative concepts is really my favorite part. And as of being a host, I just love talking to people and sharing what I know and hearing stories, creating anything that has to do with art really has my heart. Fun fact number 3 is I love to travel. Traveling is one of my favorite things to do, and a lifetime goal of mine is just to get paid to travel the world. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I just know it will, and you guys will get to follow along that journey with me. You can learn more throughout this podcast series, or like I said, you can check me out on social media. Now, this podcast was an idea and a concept I created a while ago. I took a lot of time really deciding how I wanted to execute it, but the problem with being a perfectionist is you're always so focused on things you can't control and details that ultimately don't really matter, and you never actually get anything done. So this is me putting my ego aside and letting God do his thing, the universe do its thing, and guide me in giving you guys all the love and wisdom that I possess currently. And really hoping and praying that even if I change one life, that impacts millions of lives. I really hope throughout this podcast series that whoever is listening and wherever you are in the world, that you understand the importance of being the best version of yourself. Now, I would have called this podcast, the Best Self podcast, but it's what really is the best? And I decided to call it the Favorite Self podcast because I think being your favorite self is way more impactful than being your best self. Because when you think of being your best self, you kind of just want to compare to everyone else's best. And everyone else's best looks completely different from each other. And, when you choose to look at your favorite, you understand it's okay to be different. And you understand that your favorite is something that you genuinely love and something that you genuinely feel happy about. So your favorite self is really just a person, a being, an idea, an energy that you create and you embrace and you emanate to live out the life that you truly deserve. Now, I figured out this concept, I want to say about 3 years ago now. I'm going to be going through my story throughout these next couple of episodes, so you can really get a taste of how this came to be and why I feel it's so important that we all get to know it. But I created my favorite self on a vision board one day, and my favorite self has a character name. Her character name is Veggie God Mother. And it's actually all my social media names. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, you can definitely find me at Veggie God Mother. And I just loved fairies all my life. My favorite Disney movie is actually Cinderella. I also love all the Tinkerbell series. So I thought it would be perfect to have like my own fairy godmother. And originally, it started off just as a character, right? That I envisioned and I felt was magical and basically like could make all my wishes come true. Another show I used to really love was The Fairly Odd Parents. So it's like having my own fairy that I could just make a wish and it'll come true. I don't know how, I don't know when. I just know that if I'm like, okay, Veggie Godmother, I want to do this XYZ, please, like, I know you got this. I know that you'll handle it all. And my life really did play out that way. So back in, I think it was 2023 now, I had made a vision board of this, and I actually put it on YouTube because at this time I was competing for Miss New York, which is the state pageant for Miss USA and Miss Universe. And I kind of did this by accident, but it was the best thing I ever did because it led me to where I am today. And I had this vision of creating like a tree of all the things I wanted to grow, all the fruits that I wanted to see develop in my life, right? And the tree was kind of like you plant one seed and a tree grows, but a tree bears many fruit. And all these fruit I wanted to be, experiences in my life. And there's a saying that says, if you don't like the fruit, go to the root. And of course, the root of this tree was myself, or Veggie Godmother. And I drew the tree and I drew a fairy version of myself with glitter wings and long curly hair and my green eyes. And along the branches, I put pictures of all the things that I wanted and all the feelings and belongings I wanted to possess. So among those things, I had a lot of destinations I wanted to travel to. Some of them included Las Vegas, New Orleans, Greece. Some other things included having long nails and long hair. Some other things included taking pole dancing classes and boxing and being able to do a cartwheel and a flip. Some of the other pictures included like being able to do castings more often, doing more photo shoots, and having a contract with an agency and things of that nature. And now, about 2 years later, I have accomplished pretty much, I think like 75% of everything I had put on that vision board. The video is still up on my YouTube channel. If you're listening on YouTube, you can just go in my past videos. I think it's called the Veggie God Mother Project because it really did start off as this, test. It was really like, I was taking the scientific method. I had like a hypothesis. I was like, look, if I make this character, I believe that I'll be able to create whatever life I wanted. I, made it happen. My materials were like printed out pictures, and I put together a vision board. And, I have the life experiences to prove all the data's there. Like, one of the other things I put on there was being a pilot. And I did get my student pilot license, but before I even got my student pilot license, I flew a plane because I have an amazing partner, and I told him I wanted to become a pilot, and he found like a program that you can go on a flight with a professional pilot and he will be your co-pilot, and I flew a plane. It was only for like 15 minutes, but it was freaking amazing. So it was just, I couldn't believe how powerful this project really was. And it's basically developed into a lifestyle I live. And I want to be able to share it with the world and inspire other people to go on this journey with me and commit the time to choosing and creating their favorite self. Now, if you've made it this far in this episode, definitely send me an email. You can email me at faveselfpod@gmail.com. Submit your questions if you have any specific questions. You can tell me what you loved about this episode, or even let me know what you're most excited to hear about on this podcast. Reviews are also highly appreciated and encouraged. If you want to take part in sharing our message about becoming your favorite self and really empowering people to commit to taking care of their life, their health, and just loving the world and making the world a better place, you can screenshot this episode and post it on any social media platform and tell all your followers, friends, and family why they should listen to the Favorite Self podcast and what was your favorite part about this particular episode. You can also tag us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Intentions of Light. That way we'll see your review, we'll repost it, give you a shout out and a huge thank you for furthering our mission and listening to the episode, of course. Make sure you follow us so that way you can get updates about new episodes and potentially even being featured on the next coming episodes when you submit your questions or recommendations. My name is Alyssa Luz once again, and thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of the Favorite Self podcast. I promise you will love every moment of this journey. Thank you again, and have a good day.